Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Action Comics 1063. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team and then we'll talk more about this issue. This is the conclusion to the three-part Bizarro story written by Jason Aaron with art by John Timms, colors by Rex Locust, letters by Dave Sharp, and a few covers that we'll see at the end of the video. Um, Let me tell you, this was an exciting way to wrap up the first little story from this Superman Superstars initiative that DC is doing. I really think that Jason Aaron gave us a compelling, really fun, and also a story that really appreciates who Superman is and who he isn't. Right, with Bizarro, I think that the duality of those characters and how much of opposites they are really plays into this. Really interesting stuff. So, in this issue, the finale of I Bizarro, the startling finale sees the Men of Steel making the most shocking team up ever as the mind-blowing final battle against the ultimate Bizarro. Yeah, I mean, this is a brief spoiler for the previous issue, but the Men of Steel went to the one person that in a Bizarro world would probably be his would end up being an ally, and that was the Joker. That was such a really cool reveal, really interesting surprise, and then the way it develops here, it's really fun. Just great comics, really fun superhero stuff. This was truly a story of Superman against the world, which also very interestingly, like, you know, it's for those people that say that Superman is a boring character or Superman is just not really fun to read. Um, I mean, I personally disagree, but I respect your opinion, and I kind of feel bad that you haven't found the right Superman story to really inspire and demonstrate how interesting this character can truly be, how much fun this character can bring to the comic pages. And I think Jason Aaron really finds that spot between, how do you tell a compelling story about Superman while still keeping the truth of who the Man of Steel is supposed to be. So all that being presented by John Tim's beautiful art, classic Superman. I just love the look. Even in this bizarro world, I think not only does Superman have a really cool design. I don't have any preview pages, but the design of Joker in this world, the design of the mindscape that Superman is in, everything just really really works very well. Also, I gotta say, the letters by Dave Sharp really play very well. When you hear the Joker dialogue, you definitely know it's still him, even though this is a bizarro Joker. And yeah, I think just this ended up being just a really fun story that really put Superman up against one of his greatest challenges, right? When two of the things that he struggles the most against, which is magic and Bizarro, they combine forces to take on him. That gives us just a great challenge for Superman. Also, really cool covers at the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. So, if you have read the story, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. If you haven't, go check it out. It's only 3 issues. I think DC is doing this in a very smart way. If they continue to do these little 3 story arcs, they can either publish them all together in a nice prestige format, or they can just put them as part of a collection of maybe 2 different arcs in a volume. So, or even a big omnibus of all these Superman superstar stories once all is said and done. So, hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Suicide Squad Dream Team #1. This is a new book, not only a new book, but a book that came out of nowhere for me. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into talking about this book. This book is written by Nicole Maines, pencils by Eddie Barrows, inks by Edward Ferreira, colors by Adriana Lucas, letters by Becca Carey. Um, so yeah, I didn't know anything about this book. I hadn't heard anything. This is our first book in the countdown to Absolute Power, which is the event that DC announced during the Comics Pro announcements for retailers. So let's take a look at what is going to happen in this mini series, and we'll talk more about this book. In this book, a new Suicide Squad fights for DC's future and the next big step towards the cataclysmic event of 2024. When Amanda Waller makes her move to seize ultimate power in the DCU, nothing will stand in her way, not even the future. Spinning out of the events of Titan's Beast World comes the story of Dreamer, the precog Dreamwalker, who has run afoul the most power-hungry villain in DCU history. With a superpower hero who can see the future on her side, is Waller's Suicide Squad finally unstoppable? Join Harley Quinn, Bizarro, Clock King, Black Alice, and Deadeye for the fight for DC's future and the next big step towards the cataclysmic event of 2024. They really want you to understand that this is going to be a cataclysmic event. That's really funny. I love comic books marketing sometimes because they go all out with their shenanigans. So I will say this was not. I don't know. I feel like everything building up to this cataclysmic event of absolute power, it hasn't fully grabbed me. I thought Beast World was fun, but I didn't really like it. I wasn't invested in the story because of all the build up to what's going on. I just thought it was a fun story. So I don't really know where I stand with this. I think the issue itself, I think it's pretty entertaining. I will say the art is not my favorite style. I feel like it's a little bit dark, and maybe that's kind of the theme and the tone they were going for. I do enjoy when because Dreamer is part of this issue. You know that dreams are going to be involved, so when they're in the dreamscape, I think things get a little bit um yeah, things get a little bit more exciting when it comes to the visuals. But overall, this was just a very standard issue. There's a lot of heavy inks, and like I said, maybe that's just for the tone of this. But it feels a little weird when it comes to that dark tonality offset with some of the presentation, and I'll talk more about that when I show you some of the preview. So yeah, this issue felt a little bit disjointed. I think sometimes when DC puts up so many barriers to have their big event happening and all that, it can feel a little bit um unnatural, I guess I would say. Let's take a look at some of the preview art so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So as you can see, I mentioned there's very heavy inks, very heavy dark tones. These lines are pretty thick for a lot of these characters. But then you have the wacky presentation of like each of the characters with their, you know, a little jokey saying. I don't know, I just feel like it doesn't fit. Like the aesthetic of both things don't really fit together. The expressions that Waller has don't really fit together with like this wacky Suicide Squad like type of presentation. There is a very cool reveal, of course, that you get to see that Dreamer is going to be part of this team, and of course, she's being forced to do this by Amanda Waller, so that's kind of cool. Also, I've really enjoyed Nicole Mantz's like stories that I've read in the past. Um, so yeah, I don't know. This might be something I'll revisit once it's complete. It is a mini series. I did check that out, and it also has some really cool covers. You'll see some of those at the end of the video. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna check this out because I'm interested in Absolute Power as an event. But the story itself hasn't fully grabbed me. That's the only thing. But if you have read this and you're more interested than I am, let me know down in the comments. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Green Lantern #9. I will say this now. This is one of my favorite Green Lantern series we've had in a long, long time. So let's take a look at the creative team here. This is written by Jeremy Adams with art by Harmonico, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., letters by Dave Sharp. Also, kudos to the team for remaining so consistent. I really appreciate when just the team works so hard to make sure that for the most part everything is drawn and written by the same people, and not have any like kind of fill in, a few filler arcs. I know there's been some things that kind of got in the way, like the Night Terror, so hopefully that gave the team a little bit of runway. Yeah, there is a backup story about Jessica, but I didn't really go into deep into that just because unfortunately I didn't have enough time. So I'll be definitely checking that out once it's all complete. Those little backup stories that are, like part one of three usually, I'll definitely check those out. But yeah, the trial of Jessica Cruz is the backup story for this issue. But in this one, when we follow Hal Jordan trapped on Earth, unable to leave the atmosphere, the Green Lantern looks for help from a mystical source, which leads him to a mysterious gateway and surprising answers of the origin of Hal's ring. So, as we've been seeing and following over the past few issues, Hal Jordan's ring stops working as soon as he leaves Earth or the atmosphere. So he doesn't really fully understand the powers of this ring. It is not a normal ring, right? Even though he just had a run in with those new lanterns that came by Earth, and he's had a lot of things in tragedy really kind of befall throughout this run. So Hal's been looking for answers, and the good thing is this issue gives you every single answer you would want. And really propels Hal Jordan into the next phase of the story. It's really cool. All the reveal is it's just amazing. We'll get to the art in a second, but yeah, Jeremy Adams just found a really compelling way to explain a few things. Uh, this is probably, if not one of the, it's probably one of the biggest explanations or even retcons of um of like the Green Lantern history that in this issue is very casually done, but it's really well performed. I really, really appreciate it. Like when I finished reading this and I like it finally came into my head, like the how grand of a discovery this is, I was pretty excited to see what the people had to say about this. So let's take a look at some of that preview art as I was mentioned. Harmonico is just a fantastic artist. I really love the designs for the characters, the look, because the green is involved, the power of the green, the power of plants is involved in this part of the story. I love that the paneling is actually like broken up between the branches of the tree that he's looking around in. It's very, very cool, really well done. Here you get to see a little bit of flashback and explanation. We also get to see Tom Kalmaku, who is a character that I have no idea who that is. If you are aware of this character, let me know down in the comments. Hopefully, we'll get to talk to Jeremy Adams again. I saw him last year at a convention. Maybe I'll talk to him a little bit. But yeah, I just love the way the story's told. The exposition feels very natural. The conversation, I think Harmonico's paneling here just really, really works. And it's great. And the reveal that's coming up in this issue, like I said, it's one of the biggest thing that I believe has happened to Green Lanterns in a long, long time. So probably my favorite issue of Green Lantern so far, and they keep getting better and better. Like issue 6, the fight with Sinestro was an all timer, and this one once again just really knocked it out of the park. I'm very excited for the future of this series because I think things are about to get to the next level. So, hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Batman Dylan Dog #1. Let's take a look at the creative team, and then we'll get into a lot of explanations for this issue. Uh, so this issue is written with a story and script by Roberto Recchioni. Recchioni, maybe. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. With art by Gigi Cavanago and Werther Daldera. Uh, Also, we have Gigi Cavanago coloring the prologue and Giovanna Nero coloring the rest of the book. Pat Broussel on letters. We have multiple covers that you'll see at the end of the video as well. Very exciting stuff. So this is, I believe, the first time that Batman and Dylan Dog are crossing over. So who is Dylan Dog? What is that? So Dylan Dog is an Italian horror comic series created by Tiziano Sclavi, published by Sergio Bonelli since 1986. So that's pretty cool. The series features a character who is a paranormal investigator who takes on cases involving supernatural elements such as ghosts, demons, vampires, the undead, werewolves, and other creatures, but also horrifying sociopathic criminals and serial killers. And as you saw in the cover, the Joker's part of the story. So that's kind of where Dylan Dog comes in. So, like I said, I was not very familiar with this character. Uh, so this is really interesting. Um, I don't think. I mean, Batman's crossed over with a lot of characters in the past from other publishers, including like Judge Dredd, the Predator. One of my favorite things was the with the Shadow from Dynamite Comics. Um, but this one, we have, so the first issue is oversized. It's about 80 something pages, because it has a prologue to kind of bring you into this world, bring you into this mystery. And it really works. You'll see some preview art from the prologue. I don't have any preview art from the main part of the story. But then the last two issues, so I think this will be three issues. The next two issues are about 60 something pages. So these are going to be like prestige format, the little thicker books. So now that we got all that out of the way, let me give you a quick synopsis for this story. So let's talk about a little bit about this book. DC's world's greatest detective and Sergio Bonelli's nightmare investigator unite. See how the fates of Batman and Dylan Dog intertwined in the past through their lethal nemesis, the Joker, the Clown Prince of Crime of Gotham City, and Professor Zarabas, a mad genius with a taste for bringing back the dead to life. Joker is in London to seal a hellish pact with Dylan Dog's nemesis, the Mephistophelian Zarabas. The doorbell of Craven Road, number 7, screams, and beyond the doorway, Bruce Wayne appears. For Nightmare Investigator, an incredible adventure begins side by side with the Dark Knight. They'll have to forge an uneasy alliance, putting aside their differences in order to successfully confront and defeat an evil that comes from the past. That sounds like a really good premise, and I had a little bit of it was a bit of a barrier of entry for me to really get into this book, but I was determined because of many different factors, including the beautiful art, the beautiful presentation, how cool this character that Batman's crossing over with sounds, and just overall the idea of what's going on in this story. Right, the something from the past is coming back to haunt them. There's a supernatural element to this, and I always love to see Batman face off against supernatural forces, uh, because he's a man of logic, and obviously some of those things sometimes don't fit into that box. Um, so yeah, this issue really worked for me. Like I said, it was a little bit of a struggle. There was definitely a little bit of like uh, a hurdle to get into this book, but once you catch your stride, I think you'll definitely enjoy it. This was made a lot easier by just the beautiful art, especially the prologue is so colorful for a story of this tonality and this kind of like the events that are happening and that you'll see here as I present a few of the preview pages. I was not expecting such a bright set of of colors and tones, which is really cool. It definitely changes once Werther Daldera begins the main story, but the prologue is beautiful. It made me want to go seek out the original Italian comics to see if if this is kind of what they look like, if that's the style that the aesthetic that they were going for at the time. So let me pull up that prologue, the preview pages, and the prologue's about, I would say, 20 pages or so. So you'll definitely have plenty of runway to get in there. But yeah, I just love the presentation of this amusement park, the faces, the expressions, the introduction of Joker, like really kind of shadowed out. But then you have this next big panel where he shoots the guy, and just like the bullet coming out, the sounds in the background, and the colors all around Joker. Yeah, this is all just really fun uh, presentation that tonally feels like it's not from a Batman book. But I think that's because this may be the tone of Dylan Dog's stories. So I don't know. If you read more Dylan Dog, let me know what you recommend. Let me know how we can check that out. Um, I'm always looking to expand and dive into other comic books, which is why I was really excited for this. If Batman introduces a whole new, you know, audience to Dylan Dog, and that's a classic comic book, I think that'd be really fun. So I like that DC's doing this. DC's taking chances with weird experiments, because this is definitely out of the norm. Although I think Dylan Dog and Batman are probably more alike than not after reading the first issue. So there you have it. Let me know if you read this down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here on the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.